Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If today is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. So my name is Trish, and I love to focus on beauty, especially skincare with botanically driven ingredients with a focus on actives. I also do some makeup content like this one here today, which is going to be a get ready with me, focusing on makeup for gray hair. Now, I do have a whole playlist that tracks my journey with me going gray. As you can see, I do have highlights in my hair, so that is what I have chosen to do. I've let my hair go gray. I do not do frequent touch-ups or, monthly or every 6-week touch-ups on my roots. I do get highlights in my hair about every 4 to 6 months. So I am actually due to get highlights today, later this afternoon. So that's why I figured that today would be a great day to focus on makeup for gray hair, because I do have quite a shock of gray going right now. And I also realized I've never done a video where I specifically talk about makeup for gray hair. And partially that's because I am not a makeup artist, so I don't really feel like I am an authority on the subject. I also have never studied color theory. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really what I have gleaned from the internet and also just working with my own skin and what I really feel like is most flattering for my skin personally. But hopefully you will gain something from this video. So I'm going to go ahead and start with foundation, of course. I really do feel like I need to get some concealer under my eyes because I didn't sleep that great last night. My cat woke me up in the middle of the night, and then after that, my sleep just was a little bit disjointed. So I do have some dark circles under my eyes. Now, I feel like most of the things I'm going to be talking about here are universal for most skin types, but especially for mature skin, and I am 55 years old. I'm going to be turning 56 in July. So for mature skin, it's obviously very important to have a concealer that is not going to settle into fine lines. And I feel like this one from Tower 28, their serum concealer, is really excellent at not settling into fine lines. It is on the thin side, but it is also very creamy and does a really nice job of providing coverage without being too heavy. So I love blending it in with the IT Cosmetics dual-sided brush. And in terms of having gray hair, and again, this is true for anybody, but particularly when you have gray hair, you want to make sure you are getting a good color match. And it's not like your skin tone is going to change when you have gray hair, but how the gray hair affects your skin tone can definitely change. So for instance, I had quite dark hair before I went gray. Now it's on the lighter side because obviously the gray hair is lighter, but I've also chosen to get the highlights in my hair. So overall, my hair is a lot lighter. So there's a lot less contrast between my hair and my skin tone. So for me, I have not had to change anything up because I feel like I did a pretty good job of matching my foundations and my concealers even before I started to go gray. And I think that's because I have olive tone skin, so I've had to be quite deliberate in matching foundations and concealers to my skin. But that's just something to be aware of as you're going gray, to just make sure you have a really good foundation match, a really good concealer match for your skin tone. Because if you don't have a good color match, that might stand out a little bit more as your hair color is changing. And then just to let you know, the shade that I use in the Tower 28 concealer is K-Town. And then as far as foundations go, I really feel like it's nice to not use anything that's too super heavy because again, similarly with the concealer, you don't want foundation to be settling into your fine lines. So I personally like a more lightweight foundation. I am really in love with the Summer Friday Sheer Skin Tint for that reason, because it is so light and it also provides a really nice light coverage and it gives a really nice radiant luminosity to the skin. So it's almost like a skin finish with a really natural coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my face. I really like to apply it with my fingers. So I put it onto my palms just like I would a lotion or a skincare product, and then apply it with my fingers. And speaking of a skincare product, this actually feels like skincare. because it has really lovely ingredients in it. And this product is buildable, so you can apply more if you want more coverage. Now you'll see that I have a sunspot right here. So this skin tint is not going to cover up hyperpigmentation such as this. I mean, it does cover it up a little bit, but it's not going to completely cover it. So you can go ahead and do pinpoint concealing if you want to. If those types of things bother you, it doesn't really bother me that much that this is showing through. I am considering maybe doing a laser facial maybe in the fall. I was thinking about doing it this past fall, but I never got around to doing it. But I am thinking about maybe doing a laser facial in this fall coming up to maybe take care of a little bit of hyperpigmentation I have, such as that spot right here. I also have a few little spots right here, but it doesn't bother me that much. But anyway, let's get back to the makeup. So as far as foundations go, like I said, I really feel like it's nice when you have aging skin and you might have some fine lines to not use anything that is super heavy. That's just my personal preference. And I'll just go ahead and reiterate that I think Summer Fridays does a beautiful job for that. And then in terms of bronzers and blushes, I really feel like cream bronzers and cream blushes are the way to go. And when it comes to bronzers, no big shock here. I really love the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. I use the color Light Medium, and you can see that I've made a considerable dent in this product. I really love using the Merit No. 1 brush for this product. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a pretty decent amount of this product onto the brush. And that is because you cannot over apply this product. It is very, very forgiving. It is very easy to use. And it provides such a beautiful flush of warmth to the skin. And it also gives a really lovely luminosity, a very pretty natural radiance. And I just love this product so much. I use it all the time. And when I go through this product, and I'm very confident that I will use this up, I will definitely repurchase it because it is definitely hands down my favorite bronzer. And I like to apply a little bit under my chin and under the jawline and just on the bridge of my nose and a little bit under my brows. So I feel like this has already brought a lot of life to my face. I was feeling like I was looking pretty sallow before I started putting some makeup on my face. And again, that is something that gray hair can do to your complexion. For me, especially having olive tone skin, I feel like gray hair can make me look a little bit sallow. I feel like it can wash me out. And that is why I do like getting some highlights in my hair, not necessarily to completely cover the gray. Like I've mentioned before in my past videos where I've talked about my gray journey, I don't want to have to go to the salon every 5 weeks to cover my grays. That is definitely not where I am at. So I do like my grays shining through, but I also like to have the lighter highlights to brighten up my face. So I feel like the combination of some highlights with my grays, also a combination of the low lights as well, gives my hair a really nice dimension. But today, prior to going to the salon, and also with my hair being pulled back right now, you can see with this shock of gray, before I had makeup on my face, I did look a little bit washed out. But with this Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, it really starts to liven up my face pretty quickly. And I really love it for that. I think before I move to the blush, I'm going to do my eyes first, because sometimes if you get a little bit too heavy-handed with blush as well as the eyes, then it looks like you have a lot of makeup on. So I'm going to do eyes first, see how that looks, and then go ahead and put the blush on so I can make sure that everything looks well balanced. Now, I'm going to be talking about some products from RMS, and that is because the detox market this month is featuring RMS in their April box. And this is definitely one of the best boxes I've seen the detox market offer, and this is a $183 value. And I'll just show you real quickly what all is in the box, and I'm going to be incorporating all of them in this look. They are offering an eyelight. This is a cream eyeshadow, and this is in the color Eclipse, which is a mossy silver. Definitely a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I'm going to be showing you how I've really started to enjoy this product. They also have a lip to cheek in Lost Angel. They also have a peach luminizer in this box. There is a Lip Lights and Crush. This is a really pretty dusty pink color. And then they also have a brush in this box. So this is just really a fabulous box. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the eye lights on my lids. As I said, this color is Eclipse and it is a mossy silver. Now, as I mentioned, this is not a color I would typically go for, but I have found a way to make this color work for me. So let me just show you what it looks like on its own. So that's the color by itself. It's a very earthy, mossy silver color, just as the description says. And what I'm gonna do is just apply a little bit with my finger because I don't wanna overdo this. I just want it to be a really subtle wash of color, mostly on the movable lid. Because for me, when it comes to having gray hair, I personally really feel like subtle eyeshadow looks are the most flattering. Now you can have really pretty striking looks when it comes to eyeshadows with gray hair, but in my comfort zone, subtle looks are the way to go. And when it comes to this color, which is quite silvery. Luckily, it's an earthy silvery type of color, which tends to make it a little bit more in my comfort zone. But since it is silvery and quite cool toned, I do want it to be on the subtle side. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to apply any more of this color onto my eyes because like I said, I'm going to leave it as a wash of color and I'm almost going to use this eye light as a primer for the next color that I'm going to put on. And this is Bronze Brocade by Kulfi. I don't think I've mentioned this yet on my channel, but this is a gorgeous, warm, shimmery color. And you can see right here how gorgeous this color is. So beautiful. I need to play with this more. And I'm so glad that I pulled this color out to put on top of the RMS Eclipse because it just looks so, so pretty. And I hope that you all can see how nicely this color, the Bronze Brocade, lays down on top of the RMS eye light. And then I'm gonna also bring up the Kulfi Bronze Brocade to the brow, just very, very lightly. That's why I'm using a brush for this actually. And just to show you, I'm using the Sephora number 15 eyeshadow brush. And I'm going to put this on top over here as well. And the Kulfi eyeshadow, the cream eyeshadow, is blending so smoothly on top of the RMS eye light. And again, I'm using the brush because I just want it to be a subtle wash on top of the RMS. I still want you to be able to get a sense of the mossy, silver, earthy color below, which I do think you can still see that. But the Kulfi Bronze Brocade obviously brings a lot of warmth to the party on top of my lids. And I do feel more comfortable with warm colors, especially with my gray hair. I feel like subtle, earthy, warm tones look really beautiful with gray hair. I'll give you some other examples that I pulled from my eyeshadow collection that I think are very flattering with gray hair. I think the YSL palette, the 710 that I talked about in my Sephora recommendations, these are taupey browns. There's some cool tones and warm tones in here. So I think this palette is very, very flattering with gray hair. This Kaja eyeshadow trio in Chocolate Dahlia is very, very flattering. It does have a shimmery topper, which is sort of a taupey champagne color. There's also a very pretty matte, very light taupey brown color, and then a deeper chocolatey brown. I think this is also very flattering. And then I also pulled a couple of these Merit single shadows. This one is Mid-Century. This is a really pretty neutral taupey brown. And then Studio is also really lovely. So that kind of gives you an idea when I'm talking about taupey browns that are either on the neutral side, maybe slightly cool, but my preference are the colors that do lean a little bit warm. And then when it comes to the eyeshadow look today, I really do love how the Kulfi Bronze Brocade and the RMS Eclipse have blended in together. I think it gives a natural yet unique look that I am really enjoying. And then I do want to line my waterline just subtly with a warm toned brown. I am going to use the Victoria Beckham Kajal liner in Cinnamon. And I don't want it to be too heavy or stark, because I do think softer lines tend to be more flattering as your hair does go gray. I am going to soften it up with the Sephora 15 brush that I used for the shadow on my lids. So I'm just gonna soften that up a little bit here, while also getting a little bit of product on the lower lash line as well. And then as far as mascara goes, I have really been enjoying brown mascaras. I do have the brown mascara from Tower 28. I have been using this just for a few days now, and I have really been enjoying this a lot. This Tower 28 mascara is beautiful, and I really think that I like the brown mascara better than the black mascara in this particular formula. So you can see that it is doing a really nice job of lengthening my lashes as well as separating them. And that is really what I'm looking for in a mascara. So I think it's done a really nice job. I'm not sure if I like it more than the Say Brown Mascara, but I really, really like it a lot. So again, I think with gray hair, it's about creating a soft look, not having things be too stark or too contrasty. And I think that brown mascara is a really nice option instead of black mascara, because it does help create a softer eye look. Now, when it comes to brows and gray hair, the only thing I can say is that I really like a natural looking brow. I think it's really nice to follow the natural arch of your brow. So as far as maintaining my brows, I will get my brows waxed maybe every, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks at the most frequent. And then what I do is I just tweeze them in the area where they have been waxed. And then when I feel like I can't keep up anymore, it's time to go ahead and get them waxed. So I feel like I'm in that zone right now where it's probably time to get them waxed. And again, going along with this theme of soft and natural, that's my philosophy for my brows. So for those of you who do use brow products, my recommendation would be to use soft browns, soft taupey colors, soft grays, not to go for anything too stark, but you know, you do what you like to do with your brows, but that would be my recommendation, would be to go for something that is soft and natural. Now let's go for the cheeks, because now that I've done my eyes, I can balance out the rest of my look with blush. So let's get to the RMS color that is in the April Detox box. And this is the lip to cheek color called Lost Angel. And this is a coral tone color with golden undertones. And I have been absolutely loving this color. And part of the reason for that is the last couple times I have worn this, I have gotten compliments on my skin. Nobody has said, oh, I love that blush color. What is the color that you have on your cheeks? But I have gotten compliments on my complexion when I have had this on my skin. So maybe it was something else that I was doing with my skin that particular day, but the common thread was that I had this blush on my cheeks. So I really do think this is a very, very flattering color. Now I was about to start putting it on my cheeks, but let me go ahead and show you the swatch of this. So that's the color, and you can see that it is a peachy pink color on the warm side, of course. Now this is not the brush that is in the box. I'll show you the brush that's in the box in just a moment, but I do really love this brush for applying cream blushes. And when it comes to applying blush, I really love using it on the apples of my cheeks. And especially as you get older, I think it's really nice to apply blush higher up on your cheeks because it keeps things lifted. And that is really how I've always applied blush. So my blush application has not changed over the years. But I just thought I would mention that it is nice to keep things a little bit more lifted as you get older. And then one thing that I saw as a tip from a makeup artist, I don't know if it was Katie Jane Hughes or who it was, maybe it was Lisa Eldridge, that you don't want to get blush too close in right here on the nasolabial fold, nasolabial. I don't know if it's nasolabial or nasolabial, but if you do find that you've gotten some blush down in here, you can always take the brush that you applied your concealer with and you can just kind of erase it a little bit. So if you ever find that you've got blush where you don't want it, you can just kind of blend it out a little bit with your concealer brush. But anyway, I'm going to go back with this really, really pretty blush called Lost Angel from RMS and apply a little bit more. And this is a blush that you are not going to overdo. It's very subtle, and on camera, the blush might not show up that vividly because it is such a subtle color. Now, when I'm looking at the mirror in front of me, it also looks very, very subtle. So it's just a really pretty wash of color. Like I said, it's very subtle. It just provides a really nice luminosity with a little peachy hue. Kind of reminds me of the peachy color that Say discontinued, which I think was called Peachy, that I was so disappointed that was discontinued. So if you've seen a past video of mine where I was raving about Peachy from Say and you wanted to get your hands on it, but you couldn't because it was discontinued, then I would recommend thinking about getting Lost Angel from RMS, because even though this is not a liquid blush like these Say blushes are, I do think that Lost Angel has a very similar effect to what Peachy from Say did. And I will say that when I do wear Peachy from Say, because I still do have Peachy from Say, I get compliments on my complexion as well. So like I said, I do think that Lost Angel from RMS and Peachy from Say have a very similar effect on the skin. Now, the reason why I decided to incorporate these RMS products into this video is because this color, the Lost Angel, as well as what I'm going to show you for the lips, I think they are really flattering for most everybody who has gray hair, especially if you are light to medium skin tone. I don't really think Lost Angel is going to show up on somebody who has darker skin tones or if you're darker than medium skin tone, but I am about to show you a product that I do feel like would show up on darker skin tones. But anyway, the reason why I'm including these is because colors that are peachy pink or rosy pink, I feel like those are very universally flattering colors for people with gray hair. And another beautiful color for people with gray hair is this color Mia from Say. Now, I know that I was saying that cream blushes, cream bronzers, cream products in general tend to be very good for people over 40, over 50, but I do feel like this powder blush is really lovely because it really provides this gorgeous luminosity and radiance that it's not going to leave your skin looking flat or chalky by any means. So I'm going to use the RMS blush brush that is in the April Detox box. So obviously this is an RMS brush, and I'm going to use this to apply the Say blush called Mia, and this is a rosy pink, and I'm going to apply this on top of Lost Angel. And you'll see that kind of amps up the color, but it does not take away any of that luminosity that I got from Lost Angel from RMS. And also because this is a powder product, that's going to help the staying power of my blush. So if you do tend to like powder blushes, I would definitely check out these new ones from Say because they do provide a really beautiful luminosity and radiance that you do tend to get from cream blushes. Now, moving on to lips, of course you want to have soft lips that don't feel dry and don't feel like they're flaky. So to start with, you need a good lip product that's going to moisturize your lips as well as providing a little bit of gentle exfoliation. So for that, you just cannot beat the Edem lip balm. I'm gonna apply just a little bit right now just to give a base of softening before I put on any kind of a lip product. And I use this pretty much every single night. This has become my absolute favorite overnight lip mask. I have raved about this product so many times on my channel. So you guys know how much I love it because of the moisture that it provides my lips, and it also has a little bit of lactic acid in it. So it does provide a gentle buffing action. And then when it comes to lip liners, we are sticking with the theme of soft and natural looking, and also ease of use. That is huge in my book. I love things that are easy to use. So when it comes to liners, I am loving this new era of blurring lip liners, creamy lip liners, soft lip liners. So I have 3 here to talk about. I do really love this new lip liner from Merit. It's actually not that new. It was a limited edition release a couple of years ago, but now they have it a part of their permanent collection. I have mine in Bespoke, which I absolutely love. I do love the Refi blurring lip liners. I have 3 colors, but I tend to use Opal the most. And then I also really like using the Victoria Beckham Contour Stylus as a lip liner. I feel like it does a really nice job of overlining and providing a really great line for the lips that feels very natural, also kind of fills out the lips very naturally. So this has been a huge favorite of mine for lining the lips. So I think what I might actually do, let's see, what color am I going to use? I think I'm going to use Merit Millennial for the look that I've got going on. So I think Refi's Opal will be really good with Millennial. I've never actually paired them together, but I think it'll work out well. So I'm just gonna apply the Refi. And what I really like about this is, like, I can talk and apply this at the same time. So clearly I don't have to be too exact with this because it is a blurring liner. The edges don't have to be perfect. The edges are soft. And you can do it quickly. And I would say the same thing for both the Merit as well as the Victoria Beckham Contour Stylus. And then as far as lip colors go, I have pulled 4 colors that I really think are very, very pretty with gray hair. I really love Antibes from Merit. This is in their matte collection, and this is a soft peach color. As I mentioned, I think I'm going to put on Millennial, which is in their classic signature collection. And this is a satin finish. This is a classic pink color. And then from Merit's lip glosses, I love Taupe, which is just a classic neutral brown. And then their new sheen finish in their lip gloss. This is Twin Set, and this is a mauve color. So I think these mauvey colors, these brown colors, as well as the dusty pinks and the soft peaches, I feel like those are really, really flattering with gray hair. Now, I just realized though, I do have one more RMS product to talk to you about, and this is the lip lights. I am going to put this underneath Millennial. And I did not think I was going to like this product so much because it seems a little fussy. I don't typically like lip products that come in tubes because I really don't want to use my fingers when it comes to lip products. But what I've been doing is I just squeeze out a tiny little bit and then use my lip brush to swipe it out. And then I put it directly onto my lips, but I will swatch a little bit onto my hand so that you can see the color. And this is a Dusty Rose. And this has a very, very balmy texture with a slight hint of gloss. It is not overly glossy by any means. And I have found myself reaching for this almost every day. And this particular color, Crust, just gives a slight hint of color. It's just a Your Lips But Better type of color. And I find it to be the perfect everyday lip product. I absolutely love it. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of Millennial on top just so that you can see that. And I also said that's what I was gonna do. So a little bit of Millennial. And then to finish everything off, I'm going to add a little bit of the Peach Luminizer, which again is also in the Detox Market box for April. And this too is really, really gorgeous. Again, it's a peachy toned highlighter with a little bit of bronze. And I'm going to apply that here on my upper cheekbones and over here and on the bridge of my nose. Maybe just a little bit on my brow bone. And this is blending really beautifully. The way it feels on the skin and the peachy golden hue is kind of reminding me of Nectar from Westman Atelier. And I do believe if you purchase this box for the monthly price of $58.95, I can't remember how much a full size of the Westman Atelier Nectar is, but you are definitely getting your money's worth if you do get this box. This is the final makeup look. And while I don't think this needs to be specific to gray hair, I do feel like the soft tones of this look are very flattering for those of you who have gray hair. So the soft peachy pinks on the cheeks and the rosy pink blush that I used on top of the RMS blush, I do think is very, very flattering for gray hair. I used a very subtle bronzer. I also used the Peachy Bronze Illuminizer, which I think is very flattering for gray hair. Also the soft earth tones on the eyes and the brown mascara I think is also very flattering for those of you who have gray hair. And then on the lips, keeping it very natural with dusty pinks or natural browns, taupey browns, those types of colors I think are also very flattering. So this is my preferred look when it comes to gray hair. And I think for those of you who have a similar philosophy in terms of makeup, keeping it very simple, very natural. And if you're also going gray, hopefully you have found something very helpful in this video. But I also want to say that I do think contrasting lip colors can look very good. Bright reds, bright pinks really do look beautiful on gray hair, but that is just a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I have personally never found that to be very attractive on my face, because even when I had darker hair, I do think that I've always been a relatively low contrast person. So bright colors have never really felt comfortable for me. So when it comes to makeup, I always have felt more comfortable with a more low contrast look. So in the end, I honestly feel like there are no rules when it comes to makeup. You need to wear what you feel the most comfortable in, whether that's not wearing any makeup at all, wearing the brightest colors you feel like you want to wear. I think it's all about self-expression and doing what you want to do. This type of makeup look is what I feel the most comfortable in, and I think is the most flattering for me. And I would love to get your feedback in the comments down below. What have you found, if anything has changed as you have moved along in your gray journey? What have you found to be the most flattering for you in terms of foundations, eye makeup, what you wear on your cheeks, bronzers? I would love to hear what you all have to say, as always. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. You know that I appreciate your time so much. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would consider doing so. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.